Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store, where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a co-host stream with Gabe, SpiderSpace. Hey, how you going?
Hey, I'm very excited to do this. So for those of you who don't know, I actually I saw Dukes picking up Hammer, trying my list, and I was like, man, like I really want to make something in this. I've been watching your content and like trying to get more into Legacy here and there, and like I don't know, you're just one of those people I would love to collaborate with. So I'm super happy that we're doing it.
Very cool to hear. And likewise, I'm definitely a big fan of your stream. Usually a lurker, sometimes comment. But I definitely like the general vibe. And it's cool to see you not just playing some of the more established decks in Modern and other formats, but also Brewing. And seeing sort of where there's still competitive space within Brewing, which is pretty cool to see. Because there have been a few decks that you've brewed around with that have done pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's an old joke about just like, all right, I'm just gonna like 5-0 with a ham sandwich, and like that's not always true. Like the thing is, the 5-0 publishes, and all the times my ham sandwich went to the garbage don't, right? But that is one of my favorite things is just brewing, trying new things, and I like the classic trial by fire is like, oh, I've got a new brew, let's play a challenge, let's play a prelim, or whatever. Like usually some slightly larger event, I'm maybe a little cowardly to immediately go to like a showcase or something. But with this deck, I actually had been doing pretty well with it and was like, all right, there's a showcase challenge coming up, I'm gonna play Hammer.
Nice. Yeah, it's really cool to see obviously Modern decks coming over to Legacy, but for the, I want to say, small amount of finishes that Hammer's had so far, it's done pretty well overall. You were able to finish in the top 8 of a challenge with this list?
No, so I this list, my best finish with it was 11th place in a showcase challenge.
There we go.
So the showcase being the not the normal challenge, like it's I would say probably much higher level competitiveness than those, because it leads to bigger events, whereas the challenge is just like the weekly event. I believe Crusherbot, who is probably the main person trying to play Hammer in Legacy, actually has, I want to say they have put up top 8s in Legacy challenges. I know that they've had also like 11th places, 9th places. So I actually think this deck is pretty reasonable. A lot of people seen it's like, oh, it's mostly Modern cards. In fact, the cards that aren't in Modern are banned Modern cards. But I actually do think there's something here.
Yeah, for sure. I've only played a few leagues with it, but I've really enjoyed it. Not just from a enjoyment perspective, but also just really underestimating the competitiveness of it as well. When you think of White Weenie, you typically think of Death and Taxes, but this deck does have a lot of fight to it, and the explosive hands with Mox Opal can lead to some pretty interesting kind of infect-like starts, where it's a case of if your opponent doesn't have removal, they're probably just going to be dead on the first few turns.
Yeah, absolutely. You can kill very quickly. I will say, so my version is not playing the Steel Shaper's Gift, which increases your average clock a little bit. But either version can definitely still turn 2 someone, which is, you're not playing Oops All spells, so you can't, turn 1 them. But turn 2 kill someone in Legacy is still, I would say, competitive.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a few kind of tweaks around players with Steel Shaper's Gift, as you said, which I believe is a sorcery for 1 white that allows you to search your library for an equipment and put it into your hand.
Yes.
And then Enlightened Tutor was another one that I've seen, which obviously is card disadvantage, but allows you to put an artifact or enchantment on top of your library, which is pretty cool if you're just going to be going for the win and the card disadvantage isn't that bad. But yeah, it's cool to see people kind of tweak around with the list. I was playing a version with Mother of Runes, and I think that's just because of my experience with Mother in Legacy for like protecting creature-based decks, but it could be a case of the deck not really needing the protection, and possibly like Mum is taking you a turn away from being one turn faster, if that makes sense.
So I actually am of the opinion that Mother is a trap for this deck.
Yeah,
and I know that seems really weird because it's probably one of the best white creatures in Legacy, right? The Mother Rune's very powerful, like being able to protect itself. That's something I'm still not used to, where, you know, Modern, you get Giver of Runes, and it's like, you just bolt the Giver, whatever. Legacy, you on tap of that thing, it's like, that's it.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a headache.
Right. But the reason I don't actually think it's necessary here, there's a couple things. The first is, I found that this deck actually does very well against most fair matchups. So basically it in my experience has broken down to, they post board will need their, you know, like mass artifact sweeper. So the most common one being Meltdown. There's also Seeds of Innocence as another fairly common one. There's things that are worse than that even still for you, like Pernicious Deed or like Serenity can be pretty bad as well. But so basically those cards obviously can make or break the entire game, the match even. But outside of those effects, I felt like basically fair matchups are pretty favorable for me. So I'm feeling like, well, Mother helps fair matchups further, and it doesn't really do anything to the, you know, Meltdown you type lines, right? So that's kind of where I went with Ingenious Smith instead, where it isn't quite Steel Shaper's Gift in that, you know, it's not always going to get Hammer. You have a little less control, but it's also a card that sort of gives you some pre-built-in resiliency, right? So most of the time you're going to hit some artifact, and most of the time you're going to be able to grow this thing reasonably, you know, 3-3-4-4 kind of thing, which is still a threat. And if your opponent just meltdowns you, it's like, well, okay, I can still just kill you with this 4-4, right? And that's been really nice. I've liked that a lot. I know people see this. I think this is probably the card more than any other card in the deck where people are like, really? Like, you're playing Smith? I know even in modern Hammer time, people don't particularly like this card anymore. There was a time where people liked it, but in my opinion, I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice that obviously it's going to trigger on your turn a lot, but having Saga in the deck, which creates constructs, and the Retrofitter Foundry, which creates these servo artifacts, means you can actually trigger it multiple times, I guess, over your opponent's turn, which is nice.
Also, Aid Aid lets you do that as well.
Of course, because your equipment gets flash. Very nice.
Yeah. So that's like a pretty cutesy thing. Like most of the time, you know, if you have a hammer, you're looking to hit them with it. But particularly with stuff like Lion Sash, there are a decent amount of times where you will put it in that way, or like, you know, you can activate Stoneforge Mystic on their turn, and that'll also do it.
Very true. Yeah, Stoneforge is another great one. And yeah, I think you're definitely on point about the deck probably being really good against fair decks, and then having a bit of a hard time against the unfair decks, which is why I can definitely understand the 4 Deafening Silence and the 4 Ley Lines in the board, just to make sure we have some game plan, especially in those early, either before turn 1 or on turn 1 plays, to give us that time to hopefully set up and maybe even in a way combo off before combo decks can combo off, if that makes sense.
Right. So I've been toying around with this a decent bit versus the combo matchups, and you know, I've had these hands where, you know, you have a turn 2 win, assuming your opponent does nothing, right? Like uninterrupted, just Goldfish, you could turn 2 kill them. And I'm sitting there, you know, post board, it's against Reanimator, and I'm like, can I keep this? Like, am I supposed to keep turn 2 kill without disruption? Because I don't actually know the answer. And right now where I'm at with it is I would keep that on the play but not the draw. And these disruption pieces let you have that extra time, right? So if my opponent now has to kill my Leyline of the Void before they're able to put their thing in, then all of a sudden maybe turn 3 kill is good enough. There are weird like sequencing things. Like I know in the event that I got 11th place with, I actually I played against the Epic Storm, and we're going into game 2, and I had some piece of disruption, but it was like, okay, I'm just gonna turn 1 play Saga like just immediately, because I don't care about the constructs. I'm not looking to play a construct game. I'm just going to get either my hate piece or my hammer as quickly as possible. So you have these weird things where it's like, okay, most of the time, at least certainly as a modern player, I feel like it's very drilled in my head of like, you must get the value from Saga, you must. But knowing when to say I don't need it is pretty important.
Yeah, very true. Have a question from Jack in the comments about Spirit of Labyrinth and what sort of matchups this card is for.
Yeah, so I will say this card does lead to the occasional little non-bow, just as a preface here. So, sometimes if you're like drawing a card off of your Pure Steel Paladin or off of Esper Sentinel, there can be a slight non-bow. So maybe if they're playing a spell on your turn, they then don't have to pay for Esper Sentinel, or Pure Steel doesn't draw the card. So those things do exist, but it's really just for any of those draw cards, right? So if your opponent's on blue, I'm looking at bringing in Deafening Silence, and that can look like several different things. So maybe you're against like I think is it called the Epic Gamble, where they're looking to throw the wheel in the graveyard and then do that. So I would be pretty happy with Spirit of Labyrinth there. But also I'm bringing this in against decks like Delver. And the theory is that, again, this is a card that both doesn't get meltdowned and also makes it more difficult for your opponent to find the meltdown, right? Because your Delver opponent has infinite card selection, and given time, they will just always find that. So this is a way to make that a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. I do like the thought of a 2-mana bear being a D&T and Maverick player. But yeah, it's actually really interesting to see this list and realize how much card advantage there actually is. Like, Stoneforge is typically a 2-for-1. Ingenious Smith is getting cards. Esper Sentinel draws. Pure Steel Paladin draws. Saga's obviously quite good at getting that ongoing value. But you don't see that straight away as well when you look at this sort of deck. You don't see things like maybe like a Sylvan Library would stand out, or like Dark Confidant, or some other sort of more mainstream card advantage engines. Dark Confidant, of course, a little bit past its time, but yeah, it's actually got a lot of value to it that you're not just going to kind of drop your hand and then run out of gas early on.
Absolutely. I will say I am so in love with Esper Sentinel as a card. I feel like it has felt even better to me in Legacy than it has in Modern, and maybe that's just a aspect of the format where there's no force of will in Modern, so people are forced to play more spot removal. They have to kill the turn 1 Ragavan. There's a little bit less of that kind of thing. Like, not that there aren't decks that play a bunch, like Jeskai Control or something, but I would say on average there's less spot removal. And so you play this card, and if your opponent was planning on like turn 1 Brainstorm or Ponder, where they have to find that land, it gets very awkward very quickly. And I know every time I go turn 1 Esper Sentinel and my opponent force of wills it, I just have a big stupid grin on my face. So like, yes.
Nice. Do you have any comments before we get into a league?
Yeah, so this was the exact list that I played in that event, and I'm pretty happy with it. I do think it's pretty clean. I did want to mention a couple cards that I have been thinking about. For the main deck, I'm kind of off the idea of the Pithing Needle being in the main deck. I felt like I put that in there as sort of a stopgap, where I was like, man, I'm going to play against whatever nonsense, whether that, this card does have text in a lot of matchups, but I felt like for sort of the upper echelon of the format, I wasn't really needing it that much. That might have been a factor of like playing those larger events. So I will say that I think it's a little better in a league than it would be in like a challenge or some a little bit more higher stakes event. The other thing I was thinking about was actually trying to fit the card Hammer of Nazan in the main deck, which I was convinced was a super clunky, dumb card, but shout out to Crusherbot, who's been playing it and swears by it, and I feel like I need to, I want to see it in action myself. So the idea is it's a 4-mana equipment, but it actually lets you equip another piece of equipment when it comes into play. So it's like a tutorable equipper, which we don't have otherwise, right? Like Pure Steel Paladin and Sigarda's Aid aren't tutorable, whereas this, Stoneforge Mystic, bam. So I don't know. This could be a total meme, and I feel like it likely is, but it's something I want to try. The other piece is in the sideboard. I feel like there's a world where you want some other type of anti-combo card, whether that's Mindbreak Trap or Surgical or Fairy Macabre, something along those lines, just because currently all of our stuff is artifact and enchantment, right? So if my opponent is having to bring in Serenity or Force of Vigor to beat my Leyline of the Void anyway, then just having another one be a thing that also gets caught by it is a little bit awkward. So I feel like there's a decent chance that I'm going to end up diversifying those, but I'm not exactly sure, which is the best one yet, and how exactly to go about that.
Yeah, nice. That's a great insight. And yeah, for someone who kind of hasn't played modern Hammer and took this into a league, it wasn't too hard to get off the ground with understanding how the cards interact. Obviously there's little things that you've definitely brought up, which is like if you have a hammer on an Inkmoth, you can then reactivate it to get flying again after the hammer has taken away flying. If you have multiple Sigarda's Aids in play, you can target multiple creatures with an artifact or a equipment coming into play. So if they have like a bolt, they can only get rid of one creature, which is really nice. But yeah, little things which can, if you know about, can be the difference between obviously winning and losing, but also not making that sort of snowball mistake, which can lead to a loss down the line.
Absolutely. We kind of mentioned this a little bit before getting going here, which was, I think sequencing will be the biggest thing in this deck, far more than anything else that will punish you or help you, right? So I know this is probably the most common one, which is Pure Steel Paladin says you get to draw a card when you play your equipment, right? So it really incentivizes you to play the equipment after the Pure Steel. That's the natural thing that we all want to do, because who doesn't like drawing cards? But actually, if you suspect your opponent has a piece of spot removal, it is better to play the equipment and then the Pure Steel, because what will happen is, let's say I have an Ornithopter in play and Pure Steel Paladin, right? I can play Paladin, and before my opponent has a chance, has priority, I can then just say, try to equip Hammer on Ornithopter or on whatever creature. So at that point, my opponent then has to remove Ornithopter and Pure Steel Paladin. If they remove Pure Steel, Hammer's on Ornithopter. If they remove Ornithopter, I can just move the Hammer.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, interesting. Which, yeah, we'll see if it comes up. Pretty keen to see how this goes. Have you seen anyone splashing colors, or is mono white kind of the general sort of test area right now for Legacy Hammer?
I haven't seen anybody put up results with splashes. I have seen a lot of discussion about splashes. I think probably the most common one that people want to do is play blue. I know somebody shipped me a list that was like trying to play, like a very heavy blue package and like brainstorms and things. Somebody else sent me one that had dazes in the deck. My leanings here are, so two things. The first is, if you were able to reasonably counter something like a Meltdown, that would be fantastic. It would also help against the unfair matchups if you had access to something like that. But I don't really think you can do it very easily. Something like Daze, you actually have to have the blue mana, and I actually really like the mana base's just consistency here, where, like, yes, we have cards that you want to wasteland, but at the same time, you have some resiliency built in. You're not just dead to Blood Moon, these kind of things.
Yeah, it's very true. I do like the kind of no frills take on just mono white as well.
What do you think of this hand?
It has Metalcraft, which is nice. It obviously has a pretty nice turn 1, turn 2 play. It's not as explosive as a hand that I would like with like a... It doesn't really have like a plan. Like we can play stuff, but like what are we kind of doing?
Yeah.
Like there's no... I think Stoneforge is like a really nice card to kind of know what you're doing, but here, right. Yeah, not a big fan.
Yeah. So I will say I love Esper Sentinel, and I think there are matchups where just like turn 1 and 2 Esper Sentinel can win matches. But the fact that both we have Ornithopter, which isn't doing anything here because we don't have an equipper or an equipment, so we're looking for both halves. And then also, we just have 4 lands, and yes, Inkmoth attacks, but I think I would keep this hand if one of those lands was an Urza Saga, for instance.
Yeah.
This hand is close, but as is, I think you do have to ship it.
Yeah, nice. Oof, here we go.
Yeah, this hand's good.
I really like this. I'm a big mana fan, so I do like keeping the 2 lanes, of course. I do like this Sentinel as a turn 1 play. The Moxen is nice because it's just turned on by the Sentinel and the Ancient Den.
Yeah.
It could be the Sagardazade. Like, I think maybe the Ornithopter is what we're losing here.
I think I agree with that. There's like a greedy world where you could put back one of your lands because you also just have the Metalcraft going on. But the issue with that is you're incentivized to then keep Ancient Den, and then your opponent's wastelanding you.
Yeah, which is kind of taking us up 2 mana in a way with the
right, exactly. So I think I'm going to just get rid of Ornithopter.
Yeah, especially seeing that we have the creatures, we have the mana as well. We don't need the artifact for Mox, which is quite nice. Oof. I think we're going to get challenged here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. So we're forced to take it a little slower.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think of just playing the Ancient Den here?
Yeah, because if we draw a second, we could potentially get this Mox Opal online.
So I actually am playing it, assuming my opponent, they could be on a couple things, but I think the most likely deck would be mono red. And if we play Ancient Den, they're actually incentivized to play Blood Moon, which we don't actually care about.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like that a lot.
Of course, we are looking for like Stoneforge or something like that. But the Smith will do something.
Yeah. I was looking for a good way to get rid of things like Chalice. And I actually wasn't playing March, and I think that was a big mistake because of just how good Chalice is. And this is actually going to be Soldier Stompy, which is pretty interesting.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
So I think probably the most scary card from them next turn is probably a Palace Jailer.
Yeah. They don't play like Thought-Knots here, do they?
Some lists do, but typically they play a lot of like Thalia, Archon, Palace Jailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think then I'm happy to play Smith. Like if I expected Thought-Knot, maybe I would just play the Paladin, but
okay.
All right. Well, not much choice.
Yeah. I guess we're not playing it. I guess we no, we couldn't have played the Mox out and also the Ingenious Smith because of the Thalia.
Right. See what their follow-up is. The Chalice is good against us for sure. We have ways around it, but it is good.
But yeah, quite nice to have this kind of plan of Paladin into Hammer potentially. This deck also plays our Suppression Field typically in the main deck, which can be pretty brutal. But I'm actually not sure. So this creature, when it attacks, it has first strike, and it puts a soldier creature tapped and attack.
Oh,
kind of like a buffed up Goblin Lackey in a way.
All right, super Goblin Lackey over there. I don't know if I've ever played with or against that card.
Charles for 0. Oof. Okay.
It's pretty good.
I think they know what's up.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, we just play the paladin and cross our fingers, I guess. I mean, it depends what their, if they actually have something to put in here, if we lose or not, right? Like, our outs are still very, very good. Like, if we do get to that Stoneforge Mystic or that Urza Saga, we could easily still win this game.
Yeah.
But certainly doesn't look good right now.
Especially the first strike on these creatures as well is just really brutal.
Yeah, for sure.
Enlistment officer. Okay, this is kind of like a goblin ringleader.
Wow. All right. Soldier
And-
Stompy.
Okay, so they get the Thalia and the Thalia. Because I believe it's
Right.
just soldiers, yeah.
So they get to put in the larger Thalia here on the attack.
Yeah. And sadly, there's just no good blocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty nice start from them. It's
For
exactly
sure.
what this deck's want to be doing. Like, turn one Chalice and then just pressure.
Yeah, I think we're dead.
Yeah. Pretty tough, especially on the draw against a Chalice deck.
For sure. So, yeah, definitely we're interested in the March and the Plow. I don't think we want anything else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's good Pithing Needle targets here. I mean, I presume they play Wasteland, but after that, probably not much.
Let me have a look quickly. Get up. This is probably an older version. Yeah. I'm not sure if they do. I don't believe they do because they typically play Suppression Field as their kind of Wasteland card, and obviously doesn't play too well with it.
Okay, so I think we can safely get rid of the Pithing Needle.
Yeah.
I also don't think that... I doubt this is a Retrofitter matchup.
Yeah.
I also think that both Lion Sash and Esper Sentinel are going to be a little bit weaker here.
Okay.
So the question is, do we like any of these cards more than another Esper Sentinel? Like, I might like Lion Sash more than another Esper Sentinel.
Especially just being a 2-drop.
Right, exactly. So it doesn't get Chalice, and we can, even if they were going to kill a Stoneforge, we can get something that maybe outsizes their guys.
Yeah.
I think I like that.
Nice. It's tough because, like, I think a lot of the removal in this matchup is going to be exile based on both sides. There's not going to be too many creatures in the bin, but hopefully,
I mean,
we can
some
get
things
some
will,
trading.
They'll die in combat, or our Urza Saga will go to the bin, or there's a couple of things. I mean, we could even play something into a Chalice if need be.
Yeah.
All right. I actually like this hand.
Yeah, especially the Karakas, knowing they're on most likely at least big Thalia post board.
Yeah. I am, of course, scared of Serenity, but I'm just dumping my hand here.
Yeah, just Karakas, Sentinel, Thopter Thopter.
Yeah, just to try to play around Chalices.
Yeah, nice.
I wonder if they do play something like Serenity, given that they're also on, stuff
Chalice
like Chalice.
and Chrome Mox typically as well as a way to power out that turn 1 3-drop. Smith is really nice here. Yeah. I think that maybe the best pickup from Smith is like a Ancient Den to make sure we have that third land.
Mox would be pretty good too.
Yes, very true.
So you could, I was going to say attack first. I don't need to tell you what to do. Yeah.
No.
You're like legacy heavyweight, and I'm like, you got to attack.
I need you. Okay.
All right.
These choices so far have been pretty easy with the Smiths.
Yeah. Real big brain stuff, taking the only artifact.
Ooh, okay, that's not too bad. We don't really care about this, other than the Saga.
Yeah, but it does draw us a card, so it's all right.
So obviously this is going to make us not allow us to make a construct. It's going to be too much.
Right. So in that case, I think I just go Inkmoth and play the Shadow Spear.
Yeah, nice.
So we can't equip it, but it'll still pump the Smith.
Yeah. Nice. Then being able to hold up sword and also Karakas is quite nice.
Yeah.
Also, the Shadow Spear just making the Thopter's threats is quite nice.
It's a very expensive way to give +1/+1, but
3 mana Archon. Okay, pretty happy just to swords this because it does
really?
currently deal with our board. We can't really attack into it. I guess we could start attacking with the.
Yeah, I actually completely ignore it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like it. It stops Sentinel, but the Smith just outsizes it immediately.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Ooh.
So wow, you do want to float with the Saga for sure.
Yeah. All right. Are we just finding a Mox here?
So I actually think you just find a hammer.
Okay.
Because it just puts more power into play more quickly. So we get to like play Paladin and then immediately equip the hammer to something.
Yeah, we can play the Paladin, but we can't play. Oh yeah, because the hammer will be in play, of course. Nice. Yeah. Perfect. So we go land, and then pure steel.
Yep. And I believe you just put it on a Ornithopter.
Yeah. Ah, interesting. It actually overrides. Okay.
The suppression field?
Yeah.
Yeah, I expected it to still cost 2. Because that is interesting actually. Well, it's still an activated ability, right?
Yeah, that's very true. It's kind of like the end tax, a little bit like Trinisphere, where something might be cheaper, but then it costs more.
Right. If that wasn't in play, we could have actually just killed them right there, like in a lot of different ways. But
nice.
Did
you expect the first game to be mono white on mono white?
No, I sure didn't.
No. Echo diamonds. Probably just running this back.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I'm really that interested in. It's interesting. The Sentinel actually did draw us a card.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
I feel like in this matchup, I wouldn't expect it to do that very often.
Okay.
Wow.
Kind of a 6 without the Kaldra, and a pretty nice 6.
Yeah, I think you keep it.
Yeah, we're just a little bit off being able to like turn 1 a
right.
Turn to
right
2-drop, but okay.
See what they may just chalice us. This looks like it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. This hand only has the 1/1 drop, so it's not the end of the world.
Probably just Plains Mox Pass.
It's interesting, like holding the Mox lets us Smith,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Then they could also have Chalice or Archon. That's actually pretty interesting. I think you play the Mox, yeah. Like I'm not happy about it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Ooh, just a pass. Maybe holding up another Cathar?
That's fine.
Probably just going with Smith here.
Off the Inkmoth, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Jit's
I like
pretty
the
nice.
Jit.
Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah, more than fine.
The cat had his fill, so I can close the door.
They have to have another Cathar, right? Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say if they attack, I think I would take the trade.
All right, so these are offline. Can play the Paladin.
I think it's just Paladin go. Like in this case, I feel like there's a reasonable chance that you know. I mean, like they could have Solitude, but I'm not that upset if they Solitude. I feel like we can maybe engineer a situation where, like, yes, they're going to kill the Jet, but we'll draw a card. So I feel like you have to kind of go with that route.
Yeah, they're also in an awkward spot where this deck has a lot of good 3-drops, and if they play a 3-drop next turn without having... Yeah, like even I guess a Soul Land allows them to also hold up the Cathar, but there might be a world where they put their guard down for a turn. I don't think they will. Like, I don't think we get in a position where they tap out, we attack with the Jit, we kill this with 1 trigger.
Well, so do you want to attack?
I should have attacked. I should have definitely attacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a bit trigger happy.
That's really interesting because, like, if they don't play a 3-drop because of it, I'm kind of happy. So that's interesting. Not too upset about that. Ooh. I like just playing that first.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have even played my land.
In case you
drew Saga.
Yeah, very true. I guess I don't want them to... yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I'm just trying to overload it.
Don't draw Saga. Don't draw Saga. Oof. Not punished.
I mean, we still get to play the Jit as well, I think. I think you do play it here. Do you think are you looking at holding it?
That is a tough one. Because if they take out the Jit, we don't have a great way to like pressure other than just going wide with smaller creatures. But
well, the Sash gets 2 counters by them killing the thing. And then but I guess if we wait, the Smith grows another counter. Maybe you just attack with Smith and say go. I think I like that more.
Okay.
I feel like they're in a pretty awkward spot now.
Wow, they played the Chromorks into their Chalice. Surely that was a misplay. Because now we get to eat that with Sash as well. Yeah, they're gonna... Yep. Wow, okay.
Just immediate shame concession. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, because they obviously kept it on the turn 1 Chalice hand, but didn't have the mana to potentially probably have a 3-drop in hand and get that out. Like, I feel like they were 1 like Soul Land away from being able to get back in this match, but... Hey,
yeah, I agree.
We'll take it.
We definitely take those. I do think we were ahead there. It would depend what 3-drop they have, but if they're in a situation where like they play the soldier that gets to put in another, if they have to tap out for that, then we just get to connect with the Jit, which just kills them basically. I mean, you just annihilate their board, so it really has to be Soul Land.
Exactly, yeah. Cathar Commando is actually a pretty interesting card for this deck. I do like the flexibility of March, but if March is answering artifacts and enchantments mostly...
Yeah, that's interesting. Ooh. I actually hadn't thought about that. And the fact that it can also, of course, carry equipment itself is pretty good.
Yeah. But March, of course, being able to hit like a DRC or a Delver as well is just so good.
Right. That's actually pretty close. I think you know, the one of the big things with March is you have some flexibility where, you know, in theory, if you have to, you can pitch something. And also, if you are playing against a Saga deck, it kills their Saga on turn 1.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are decks like Mono Blue, for instance, or I guess 8 cast is what they call it. Yeah, 8 cast. They would definitely play a turn 1 Saga. So just being able to nuke it is pretty nice.
Yeah, especially before they can even tap it for mana.
Right. Depending on play draw, of course. Yeah, I like this hand.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm not sure if I'm playing the Ornithopter immediately or not. I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's nice because actually Monk's Opal off the top turns on... Oh, this might be like a mono black curses deck. Or like a... Yeah, I'm going to say some sort of... Oh, okay, they're just going to pass with... Surely they have a lane. Okay, there we go.
The old move to main phase 2.
Yeah. Alright, Mox Opal. Planes.
I think I just say Plains, Aid, Go.
Yeah, I think probably seeing this sort of start makes me feel like Ornithopter is probably just a great play around Sudden Edict on the Stoneforge.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not actually sure if next turn I want to Stoneforge or I want to go like Smith Thopter. I mean, like they can combo kill us, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to assume this is a Helm deck, or maybe even a... Could be playing like Dorothy, yeah, Voidwalker. So I assume this is going to be a Helm deck.
Okay. Yeah, Helm scary. I mean, Karn is scary if they're on that as well.
Yeah. Which, yeah. If they're Karn, potentially it's worth Stoneforge for Kaldra here.
I feel like you still just get the hammer because we have the aid. Like they're not gonna have an easy time removing the aid.
Yeah.
I actually think it's... Oh, you like Den here, huh?
Yeah. I'm not sure if the extra artifact would be needed.
I was kind of thinking like maybe we can sandbag it to get a Smith trigger.
Oh, nice. Ah, of course. Gabe with the plays. Nice. Yeah, I think it's going to be Stoneforge for Kaldra, play Ornithopter pass.
Oh, I just Stoneforge for Hammer Ornithopter pass.
Yes, sorry, yeah, because of the aid.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they, you know, they can like thought seize us or whatever, but if they have it, they have it. Wondering if there's a world where you're supposed to play the second Thopter there.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I guess if they do have like a Sudden Edict here, I guess because we don't have to use Stoneforge Mystic to put the hammer in, we do have an attacker next turn no matter what.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's wild. I have not seen that card in a long time. Played some standard with that bad boy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like Jacob Wilson vibes from the Pro Tour with like little Kid Junk, I think it was called.
Right?
With like Loxodon Smiter and Whitley Fleege, Kitchen Finks.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay. So I think I still want a Smith first.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure how that would really change anything, but you know, just trying to get the counters where you can. Nice. Yeah, you just take the Shadow Spear because why not, and get to work.
Nice. Yes, of course.
On the Thopter, yeah. And I think we do play out another Thopter now, right?
Yeah. I was going to say play it all because of this triggering.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I buy that.
I don't
We're
think
going to get triggers next turn anyway for Smith, so. It is slightly worse into, like, him if they have that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if they have him, though, they're probably not dealing with the Ornithopter or the Hammer, which is nice.
Right, and then they're just dying on board.
Yeah. Unless their 3 cards are like land him removal spell, like Fatal Push, potentially. Wasteland's fine. Like, now we're in a position where Khan isn't even relevant, which is nice.
Yeah, well, they can actually unequip the hammer by ticking up on it.
Ah, nice, yeah.
But we would just... Well... Would we kill Karn? Yeah, we would still kill Karn, so... Because you would have 1 from the hammer, 1 from the Stoneforge, 3 from the Smith, and then you can also put on the Shadow Spear. And
yes, exactly. Really interesting sword to have main deck in Legacy right now.
Yeah, it's a strange one. You didn't... Oh yeah, we can't... Of course we can't block it.
Yeah, sadly. Shadow's pretty cool. I played Voidwalker in Modern a little bit. Shout out to Co-Diamonds playing Abzan. The card's very good.
The Rock, yes. He's been really doing a lot of Pioneer things.
Yeah, which is cool. I think I saw him shout out the other day that one of the main sites has recently put on like Black Green Rock or maybe Abzan midrange as like one of their meta choices. You can actually click it, and he's very happy about that. Which is very cool to see.
So, to be honest with you, I have no idea what we need to do here. Like, I have no sense of what they're playing. Like the ley line makes me assume probably there's a Helm somewhere, but it's not like our cards do that much against Helm anyway.
Yeah. The only thing I'm thinking of is maybe like March, especially for Ensnaring Bridge from like a Khan deck.
Okay. Yeah, good call.
That's probably the only one. I don't think we care about the sword. Like, this deck could be playing Opposition Agent, which is kind of annoying for like Stoneforge. Or even Saga.
It's a little annoying, yeah. But I don't think we would want the Plow. So what's bad then? Because, like, do you think we're going to get into a grind type game with them?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like mono black, like mass removal. Like, it's not like they have like a Seeds of Innocence or a Meltdown, which is quite nice. We don't have to worry about Force of Vigor, which is nice as well. Sudden Edict is probably the big one. They might be playing Fatal Push, but I think Sudden Edict, even though it's a mana more, just being able to hit things like Murktide is so relevant that...
Right. That card's pretty bad against us. Like, if I saw a bunch of Ornithopters, I might even board it out.
Yeah, like potentially Plague Engineer, but again, nothing great to name. Doesn't really stop much.
You can, like, Human, which hits Sentinel, and then Smith if it's not already in play, but... I'm kind of stumped here. I don't know if we're supposed to be... Maybe Lion Sash isn't very good.
I don't think it's Mono Black Depths because of the main deck Ley Lines. But it could potentially be Depths, which we do have the Marches and the Karakas for, which is nice. And also the Needle to some extent. But I think Needle naming Khan is probably where we want to be.
I think I'm going Cut Sash and then either like a Thopter or maybe the Shadow Spear.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've only seen Voidwalker, which obviously can't block anyway.
Right. Like, I don't think they're putting a lot of blockers in the way. Like, the only reason I might keep Shadow Spear, like Lifelink against Merit Lage could be relevant, but likewise Ornithopter blocking could be relevant, so kind of tricky. I like this.
Yeah.
As long as they don't, like Dark Ritual.
Yeah, that's some
bunch of things. Yeah. I almost thought about bringing in the silence because of that, but I don't think it's worth it.
Interesting. So I think they have a Dark Ritual, and I wonder if they're trying to hold up Opposition Agent off a Dark Ritual.
Interesting. Well, I think we just take it slow then.
I don't think we have to play out the Mox just yet either, especially with the Smith next turn.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's a cool swamp. Okay. Very similar to
It's
last
really
time.
not that scary.
Yeah.
Like our graveyard's off. Like you.
Yeah. A removal spell would be pretty sweet just to have that. Okay, that's pretty nice. We get to go Saga into Smith. And then potentially even turn on the Mox Opal if we find... No, we can't. I think we're definitely playing the Saga and then Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that. But I do think a artifact land is really nice. Either that or like Ornithopter would be good.
Oh, a bit of a selection.
Wow. Now we have a choice.
So next turn we can land and Mox, which is 4 mana in total because Sentinel and Hammer is 2, and that turns on Mox Opal, which leaves us with 2 planes for pure steel, so we can actually attack with Hammer next turn.
I think, well, that's actually really tough. Like the land is somewhat tempting, but I think it's got to be the Hammer. Just being able, like, if they do have opposition agent, then this just still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Hammer. Let's see what they have.
Yeah, this is really nice because Saga play Hammer, Planes play Sentinel. We then have Metalcraft play Planes, play Pure Steel. We can then equip the Hammer. So even a Khan, I guess a Khan does stop the equip.
It does, yeah.
But it would be, yeah.
We'd still be in a fine spot. I mean, if they Karn, I might just be looking to do Saga things. They do nothing. Wow, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Which does take us off the line of needing 3 white. But obviously with Hammer it's quite strong.
I think my plan is to just go Inkmoth, attack, say go, and look to activate Saga at the end step.
Yeah. Do you want to play out this? So if we play Inkmoth, we can then play Sentinel? No, we can't. Because we need another artifact to be able to make a dude. So yeah, it might just be Inkmoth.
So if we make a Saga token, we can't do anything else this turn.
Correct. Yeah. I guess we make it now to get the extra damage in?
I don't think that getting in the damage here is worthwhile either.
Oh, like attacking into...
No, I don't think it's worth it. I feel like saving it, whether they have sorcery speed removal or like... I don't know what they could have, but like I feel like having because we're just presenting lethal next turn. So I don't think the 1 damage is relevant.
Okay. Nice.
Cool. not too upset about that.
Yeah, especially in this sort of matchup where that creature's already found us a card in hand, which is really nice. And if these Saga tokens start taking actual cards out of our opponent's hand, like another Sudden Edict, I'm probably more than fine with that.
Agreed. I wouldn't be surprised if they did have like opposition agent here, but if they do that, we may just be able to kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess they might grab our
needle
for our hammer.
Yeah, but at least they can't cast it.
Right.
So they're gonna agent. Okay.
Here it is. Yeah. That's fine.
We get to go to draw step.
So, remind me that it doesn't just put it in play, or it does put it in play?
No, so they get to search on our behalf, exile a card, and then they can cast that with any mana, but only during when you can typically cast it.
Right. Well, then in that case, I'm just looking to kill them.
Yes. So we're just floating a mana here.
Yeah.
Nice, because we can activate Inkmoth here, which gives us 2 artifacts. We can then play the hammer, which is 3, and then we tap the planes and the Mox for the pure steel to equip.
Right.
Guess it loses flying,
we can't.
But...
Yeah, it will lose the flying, but that's okay, I think. They're just forced to chump. I actually think I would have drawn the card in this instance with the sequencing wise, because the Inkmoth is an artifact for Opal.
Oh, they maybe they didn't think that it loses flying.
Yeah,
like I think that is just one of those nuances that maybe some players aren't well equipped with. No need for a pun there, but I don't think that many players know that this also takes away flying.
That's funny.
Which is it is definitely nice. And I think as a brewer for you in Modern, do you find there's a few times where players just aren't really, they don't have the experience with some of the cards you play or the sequencing that you play that can lead to some wins based on just experience?
For sure. That definitely happens. And it's interesting because Hammer's quite the popular deck in Modern, so like a Modern player would be very aware of that sort of thing, but the Legacy player not so much. And of course, it's the Brewer's advantage, right? It's just a weird one in this case because it's popular but in another format.
Yeah, it's very true. I'm just going to the bathroom. If you want to talk with chat, that'd be cool. I'll be back in a second.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, Junk, it does it reacted. So activating it again grants flying despite it. The other thing that you can do if you have aid, you can just go to blocks with the Inkmoth, and then if the opponent, they don't have a flyer, they've now declared no blockers, and then you put it on at that point and you're good. One of those nuances. It's interesting, like knowing, I mentioned the line with Pure Steel Paladin to play around removal where you can play equipment first, but then knowing spots likewise the other direction where it's like, okay, should I do it the other way this time? I do not have a spreadsheet right now. I in the past have been a spreadsheet gamer, but as of late, I have not been doing that. I've had a pretty good record with the deck. I know I have had a couple of 3-2s. I believe I only had one league with the deck where I went 2-3, and frankly, it was more of a being tired myself, more of a mental fatigue than the deck not doing the thing. I remember making some mistakes and that resulting in it. But for the most part, it's been either 3-2, 4-1, or 5-0. Most of the legacy leagues themselves have been 4-1. The first event I played this in a while ago, they had basically like a prelim. It was called like a play-in event, the anniversary play-in event. So you could play events to get tokens, and if you played limited and constructed, you could then play a tournament to try to, I believe first place got a complete moto collection, which is very nice. But anyway, I played in one of those qualifying events, and that was like the first real thing I played with the deck, and immediately went 5-0, and I was like, okay, like Hammer maybe doing the thing.
I totally blanked before on the construct being an artifact as well, because when you said you could obviously take the draw off the pure steel, I was like, oh, but we need to play the Hammer first to get Metalcraft online. You don't, obviously. Yeah.
I thought you had forgotten that Inkmoth itself was the artifact, so I was like, yeah, we're good.
Gotcha. Hey, High Star. We have 2 Swords to Plowshares, 2 March, 2 Spirit, 4 Deafening Silence, 1 Cage, 4 Leyline, which you can also see in the Cardboard Live functionality. Should be over here. All right. Nice. Decks, yeah. Pretty nice. I think the mulligan with this deck is quite nice as well.
Yeah, I've won on some very low mulligans with this deck, and have been frankly surprised. Where I'm like, how did I just win on a mull before? What happened?
Yeah, I won on a mull of 4 against lands where they had like multiple Mazovits, and that's where the main deck Pithing Needle came in really nice, and also Pure Steel out of nowhere. No, it was actually a Stoneforge out of nowhere that allowed me to get a Shadow Spear, not just for the lifelink, but also for Metalcraft to get a hammer online as well on a creature with Pure Steel. And it was just insane. Like, I took the draw because I was like, I'll take a draw until we draw, but it's probably over. And it was like, oh, wait, this changes everything. But
I think I remembered watching one of those, and you were like, wait, do we have lethal? Don't we have lethal? I don't think we have lethal. And I'm sitting there like, it's right there.
Exactly. Yeah, because it was the trample that I was obviously not taking into consideration and trying to like, I knew I had the line. It was with a Kaldra Compleat, like an Ornithopter, a Shadow Spear, and a Hammer. And then also like they had a blocker in Elvish Reclaimer and a Mazovith. And I was like, I know I can get through this. And it took me like 2 minutes, but we got there. And it's not how you get there; it's that you get to that destination. But
right, you crossed the finish line.
Yep.
I actually, so funnily enough, I actually was doing a co-stream last night as well with a friend of mine, regularly hanging out on Everos's channel, and this is sort of an interesting thing. I'm curious to get your opinion on this because I mean this deck is not this way, but we're talking about the idea of your first trying, whether it's a brew or just a deck you're unfamiliar with, and the idea of having impressive wins versus eking a win out. And so with the deck that he and I played, we had the situation where we would lose by tiny bits or win by tiny bits, and to him that was immediately like, man, this kind of makes the deck, to him it felt unimpressive, and to me it was like completely irrelevant of like, it doesn't matter, like a win's a win. Like if I won with an Ornithopter wearing a Shadow Spear and that was the one damage that did it, like I won, right? So what do you make of that concept of like first impressions with a deck, and convincing victories versus tiny ones?
That's a tough one. I feel like the close ones show that a deck can really grind and like keep on par, which is really nice. I'm kind of imagining like 2 Olympic swimmers and like you coming in for the first time and keeping up with them, and then one where you're just in front of them the whole way. I don't know. I haven't really thought.
It's an interesting concept, right?
Yeah, I never thought about that. I would kind of see. Oof. Okay.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Oh, hmm.
Yeah. It's this hand's interesting because we actually do have a route to basically everything that we need, but it's a fairly slow one if we don't draw the land, which, you know, that's the assumption is that we won't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because, like, we're definitely keeping planes, and I think we're definitely keeping Mox, Retro. The Needle is, like, the outlier, but it's also the way to turn on the Mox Opal if we don't draw a land.
Right. I think if you keep this hand, you're putting back Smith every time.
Okay. Yeah.
The question is that good enough? I feel like I don't know. I want to keep it, but I feel like I tend to be on the side of keeping greedy hands.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I kind of like as well just leading on the Retro and getting some more information about the Needle.
Agreed.
And I don't think we have to play out the Mox Opal just yet.
No, I don't think so. Bruno, keep for studying purposes. that's the biggest scam is you know, oh, it was for science.
It's for science, yes. Ooh, Underground Sea. Okay, most likely, like, for me, Underground Sea means Doomsday, but there has been an uptick in decks like Ant recently, especially in leagues.
Yeah, I know Death Shadow's been around as well.
Yeah, very true. Oof, never didn't have it.
Wow, that's actually a fantastic draw. Because we could just get to play around days now.
Yeah. Are we just going for Kaldra here? Or do you see going for Hammer better?
Well, I think let's first see if it resolves. But I think I want to just get the Hammer.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of our own built-in Chandra. Kaldra, and it also allows us to not have a dead card in hand if the Stoneforge dies.
Exactly. And then I think I actually want to commit the Needle. Okay. I feel like given that there is both Doomsday and Death Shadow, I want to name Street Wraith, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think Street Wraith is pretty nice. Like, Polluted Delta could be another card, but typically you see fetches sort of skimmed around a lot, so I think Street Wraith is more than fine. I think we're going to be streets ahead of our opponent.
Ha.
If you understand that right.
You love those.
I do, my friends don't, so.
I see.
Delta. Look, it's
man. Fine. Yeah, should have needled, you know. Of course.
Scrubland. Interesting. Him. Oof. Well,
that's rough. Okay. Well, Kaldra would have had the same fate anyway, so
that's a really nice start.
Yeah.
I feel like this is better than, like, even finding another Ancient End here would be perfect because then we can hold up the Retrofit Foundry.
Right. Or I would probably do that with a Mox as well. Ornithopter would be fantastic because it would trigger the Smith and then we could sack it to make a 4/4 on their turn to trigger the Smith again.
Which I think is, as well, just a big thing that a lot of people don't really play around. Ooh, Sentinel's actually pretty nice here.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
Just get the trigger, nice. You know, maybe they have to play into it. And we're scrapping.
Him to Turak Ponder. Okay. It's like an Esper style list. Typically, Esper Vial is played online. Big by Jeff Lynn. But this looks to be just like a Esper kind of, maybe like a mentor deck.
Yeah. Could be.
I
think we just hold that.
Yeah. Probably just attack with this. I'm trying to think of like flash creatures.
Yeah, I mean, they could have Hull Breacher or Opposition Agent. And both of those would punish us for attacking in, but I feel like we're at the position where I just want to right-click attack all.
Yeah, I was going to hold up the hammer with the Stoneforge, but of course I can just play it out. I think we just hold the hammer, actually, and just hold up the Foundry.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely hold hammer. Interesting. Yeah, maybe it's greedy for me to want to do the attack all. All right. Yeah, so they're definitely some sort of control deck.
So Foundry actually pretty nice here, especially if it starts trading with their resources.
Yeah. The Street Wraith name being pretty bad, but
Galaxy Brain.
Yeah. They actually have 4 and they're in hand, you know.
Yeah. They're about to hardcast them.
They're getting there, actually, yeah.
I do think Street Wraith is a great name as well when you've just seen Pluto Delta, Ponder, Underground Sea. Because that's really our main interaction with slowing down Doomsday.
Right. And having the overlap with Shadow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think the land is reasonable, too. I think it's pretty close between those.
Gabe, I don't know if you've played MTGO, but if I name Pluto Delta, they don't have Delta. If I don't name Delta, they have Delta. That's just how it works.
See, I feel like on the opposing side, whatever they name is what I draw.
Yeah.
When Humans was really popular in Modern, so often my opponents would Meddling Mage something, and I wouldn't have any, and then immediately Meddling Mage draw the thing. I'm like, no!
Den nice here, because it obviously buffs us up, and then we can use Foundry in their turn to buff it up again.
Yeah. I think I'm just attacking all now.
Yeah.
Like, the Sentinel is the thing that we were trying to keep, and it's like not a big deal if they try to block either of the other ones.
Yeah, Foundry just gives this deck so much flexibility as well. Just like, I can play it in my turn, I can play it their end step if I want.
Mm-hmm. It's weird how much flash there is between Stoneforge and Saga and Aid. They're doing something.
Teferi's not too bad either. Like they could just bounce the Ingenious Smith if they want to get the throw off the board, but it's not doing much anyway.
I mean, we just get more card advantage though. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that makes me want to most likely just create another 1/1 rather than sack this one for a flyer. But
agreed.
It might be a bounce and then him us.
That would make sense. Okay,
which isn't too bad. Now the question is, do I want to create a flyer?
I think it's still just make another body.
Yeah, because I think without Bolt, there's no real need for a 4/4. Obviously, the clock's nice, but I do like just going wide as well.
Well, especially with them being on like spot removal, it's just here's more things for you to deal with.
Oof.
Ooh.
Nice.
So do you kill Teferi here?
I think I just want to get it off the board.
Okay.
And then attack them with these two.
Okay.
I just hate Teferi. There is a world where we probably don't really care about it that much, but like instant speed prismatic ending is the card that I really don't like.
Yeah. Well, also instant speed like draw step Him-U is
rough.
Pretty good.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can actually could untap
make
as
a
well.
Flyer.
Yeah.
Or, we can't make a flyer as well though, right?
No.
Yeah, we need one more. That's all right.
But yeah,
wow.
Yeah, they didn't really have a whole lot. Double him, Brainstorm, Ponder, Sword, Teferi, yeah.
Just die to the drawn Foundry.
Yeah, I reckon they probably just had a bunch of counter magic in hand.
Yeah.
Which is where the retro is really nice, because it just allows you to play through activated abilities rather than playing on the stack.
Yeah. So I like Spirit here for sure.
Yeah.
And then the question is, do you want any amount of spot removal? You know, they could have like Plague Engineer or Strix as things you might want to remove. I mean, they are white, so in theory they could have Stoneforge, though I don't think they're on Stoneforge.
Yeah, I would
but
assume
also like
Mentor.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is Mentor is also something we would like to be able to kill. Sometimes these lists have like a Sony Silence as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of lean towards March myself.
Yeah.
And then I do tend to trim on Ornithopter in these matchups.
Yep.
I
think SpiderSpace is a nice play against Mentor as well, which is nice.
That's what I was going to say, is like Shadow Spear is helpful against Mentor and Strix, so I feel like I want to keep both it and Jitte for the same reason.
Yeah, I think probably like Snapcast Mage in the 75 as well, potentially, is where it can be good, and like Lion Sash is pretty nice there as well.
So maybe we just cut Ornithopter.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, especially in this sort of deck where they most likely have like 4 swords, probably 4 prismatic endings. I don't think we're going to be getting there with like a really early kill that Ornithopter usually leads to.
Right. We don't need to go fast. Well, no decisions to be made here. Yeah, I want to go to 5.
Yeah, nice.
If they just prismatic you just gonna die on the spot.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't think this hand wins games, unfortunately. We could get like a 2-lander with a 2-drop. Like that's 3 cards.
I mean, the question is like, is that hand better than like, you know, the upside of this hand? If you did draw, like, you know, you have to draw a land. Maybe you even would have to draw runner land, which is pretty unlikely. But if we did draw like, you know, planes or something, I feel like this becomes kind of reasonable as opposed to like a 4 where it seems pretty tough. But I don't know. What are you leaning towards? Just go to 4?
I like a 4. I love keeping a hand that has a bit more of a plan in regards to like having mana.
Okay.
Because we can get there. Here we go. Nice. We can bottom hammer.
Yeah, just bottom all the equipment. Yeah, that's fine.
Nice.
It's interesting. I like what I was thinking was maybe a 4 just doesn't get there against them, just regardless. So I'm like, do I try to play to my out of like spiking the thing? You know what I mean?
That's very true, yeah.
Because there are times where it's like, okay, what scenario has to occur for me to win this game? And maybe that's it, but okay.
Oh, Smith is actually a great draw.
Yeah, I like leading on Smith.
Yeah, off Inkmoth?
Yeah. Like, it plays better into Fairy. It lets us inform a Stoneforge a little bit better. We had one of these that we actually had a decision on, and it was a difficult one, and all the others were just like, yeah, whatever, here you go.
Yeah. I think it's been Needle, Hammer, Shadow Spear.
And then the one with like 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Or it was like 4 artifacts, right?
Yeah, it was ancient. Oh, there's also one with like Mox Opal and Esper Sentinel.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
nice. I just do that.
Yeah, and then potentially just jam the Needle to get double triggers. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Sorry.
It's okay. So we're down a Mox Opal. Hopefully it won't.
Apologies. Matter. That's on me.
You're good.
I think we're just going to name Teferi, seeing it's the card that we saw.
I agree.
That's really annoying. And I probably don't mind attacking here either.
Interesting.
Like, we either have to find removal to start attacking through this.
Well, I mean, we have Shadow Spear available to us in hand. I don't know if that makes a difference to you.
I guess because
I feel like we do just have to go through it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's fine.
Like, sometimes I've seen a deck like this run Unearth, which allows them to get things back. I guess this also includes the board, but like Jace is probably the card that I'm worried about the most.
Yeah, that would definitely be scary. We actually haven't seen any prismatic endings yet.
No, which is really interesting.
I haven't seen push either, so I wonder if they just don't have that much spot removal. Wow. Their own Stoneforge. Okay.
You go for Batterskull. That makes me think they have Kaldra in hand.
They may.
Another Pure Steel.
I think you just play a Pure Steel.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I like that because, like, I think they're reasonably likely to have some amount of removal here, and given that we have a backup, like, you know, maybe we can Stoneforge and Hammer, try to draw a card, and then if they kill it, then we have the option of just like play the other Paladin.
Yeah, that's very true. I like that.
It's funny, I was looking at the amount of cards in their hand right as they brainstormed, and I was like, they have 7?
Yeah, it's funny when they like untap, draw, go to 7, and then brainstorm, go up to 9, or go up to 10? No, go up to 9 because they use the brainstorm. It's like, what? And it's like, oh, they gotta put cards back. Okay. Oh, wow, they're gonna snap swords instead of Batterskull in our turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're quite scared of the onboard Inkmoth, I think. I feel like that's a sign of weakness of like they cantripped and then had a Snapcaster for it as opposed to just, you know, having whatever. So I kind of just like going like Stoneforge play sword. Is that crazy?
Sword.
Or sorry, hammer.
Yeah. No, yeah. Do you want to get Pure Steel out this turn or just play the hammer?
Oh, that's interesting. So if we play hammer now, then next turn we would have to go white, activate, and we wouldn't necessarily be able to give it flying. So it's actually better to play Paladin for mana efficiency, but yeah, I guess so.
Also, the Snapcaster into swords makes me feel like they don't have a removal spell in hand, or else they would have also held up the Batterskull with that 2 mana.
Right, and then that's kind of why I'm wanting to go for the hammer as opposed to something else.
Okay.
Foiled.
By an owl. Okay.
Yeah.
We are not on Mum. So Mum was just a trial that I was doing, and this is the version of the deck that puts up probably the results so far, that runs the Ingenious Smith, which is very cool. So they chose to shuffle with the Ponder.
I don't think they have the piece of removal. I also don't understand why they're not. So they must have Force of Negation, right? Like if they had a means of putting the equipment in, like why would they not? If they had the Kaldra. So I guess we lead on Smith.
Yeah. Which then allows us to get maybe even a trigger and a draw off the Pure Steel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Smith has been really solid so far. Do we get a choice? We don't. So good. And then I kind of just like holding up these with Stoneforge.
Yeah, I think I like that too.
I was trying to think if there's a way, to get like Metalcraft Online to get the Jide onto something, but that's not the case.
Yeah, we have to wait a little bit, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, the only thing is if we put Jide into play, draw off the Paladin, get a Mox Opal, but I think that is a little bit too much.
Or we've already played a land for turn, right?
No.
Or no. So we could find Den as well, but
yeah, so maybe I should just
think
put it in now.
I kind of like waiting just because, well, I mean, so if they him you next turn, would you rather have Jitte or Hammer?
Probably the... I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Probably the Jide because they have multiple small creatures, but the Batterskull is going to be a little bit harder to deal with.
Yeah. The only issue about putting it in right now would be Prismatic Ending. But yeah, we haven't seen any of those, so...
I don't mind waiting.
Okay. So I guess this is Batterskull now, then?
Yeah, because if they had Kaldra, they probably would have put it in their turn, surely. I guess they could Batterskull this turn, untap, put in Kaldra as well.
Sure. They seem to have flooded a bit.
Yeah, they're at 7 mana, which is pretty interesting. Oh, okay. That's fine.
Sure. So that's them trying to play around the Jit. But, like, we're just going to put a hammer in anyway. I don't think I like that, really, from them.
No, because the Strix is just so good as a kind of asset on its own that Strix and the Batterskull were two different things we had to deal with. Now it's just the Strix we have to deal with.
Exactly.
So yeah, hammer now.
Oh, I think it's the Jitte now.
Okay.
Just because maybe we cast the hammer.
Okay.
It's not terrible. Wow. Okay, I think you just lead with cast Paladin. Because, like, if they have... Wow, they just did nothing.
Do we just play the hammer off the Inkmoth?
Well, do you want to cast it, or should we force it through now? Because it's just draw 2.
Yeah.
If it... I think I want to just force it into play now.
As in through the Stoneforge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Land.
So you just throw it on the Smith and swing?
Yeah, or we could put it on the Pure Blade and swing and keep the Smith as the bigger creature. But I guess the Batterskull's always going on these anyway. So maybe getting the Smith...
Yeah. I think I just like putting it all on the Smith and then, like, post-combat we can move stuff around. Because they're gonna block.
Okay.
Like, I like keeping both Paladins for, like, insulating against removal.
Yeah, nice, okay. I guess now as well, we can just use the Jide to kill what they try to equip the Batterskull to, because both their creatures are X1 and X2.
Exactly.
Post-combat, do you like putting the Jide on one Paladin and the hammer on the other? I guess it doesn't really matter because they're free, but...
Wow. I didn't really expect them to do that.
Huh.
I'm just confused now. Okay. Well, I do like moving things. I think you can maybe keep the hammer on it and just move the Jite to one of the pure stills.
Yeah, and then just play the retro and pass.
Yeah. Well, I feel pretty far ahead now.
Yeah. The needle's just nice as well because even bouncing their own stuff like a Strix to draw a card, a Snapcast Mage to flash something back, or Stoneforge to search again is pretty relevant.
Yeah.
Especially with so much mana. 3 mana. Sorin, okay. I've seen this card a little bit, but not too much. So it's a 4 mana walker. +1 is look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. So pretty much like a Bob. -2 is create, I believe, a Vampire Nighthawk, pretty much. 2/3 flying lifelink. No death touch. Then -7 is deal 13, 20 target, you gain 13. Alright, so they're going to look at the top. Potentially put it into hand.
That seems so dangerous. Like it's like Bob in a Kaldra deck.
Yeah. Nice flats. I guess it is a May, but still. Like, even a Force is 5 damage.
Right. Okay.
That's going to be fine. That's just a 1/1, which is exactly what you want to be with him.
And they seem so far behind to me right now. Like, we just get to... I mean, what we draw will matter, but I like this spot a lot.
I'd love another Smith. Another Smith would be pretty sweet. Sentinel's not too bad. Sentinel's nice with Hammer. Also, if they're holding up Swords to Plowshares, the Sentinel now is quite nice to give us some more... to know what we have to attack with.
Exactly, it informs it.
What also triggers that? Oh my gosh. This deck is just value.
So I think you do kill the Snapcaster now.
Yep. So they can't block. And then are we caring about the Sorin?
I guess so. I feel like they will block. But maybe they won't. Maybe they're just like trying to race us. But, I kind of want to just like load up. I like want them to trade. So maybe you do just put the Jit on the Smith and...
Yeah, because honestly, I don't really care about it right now. It's not like...
Yeah.
The question is, do we like... Is attacking with the Stoneforge just an easy win as well?
Oh, you could force a... You could just kill Sorin regardless by sending all at it. That's probably worth it, right? We have 2 Paladins.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
So maybe they'll just like gain 5, block something, but...
Yeah, also the Batterskull without a germ on board is just really unappealing. Okay.
Block nothing? What? They don't want to gain 5?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Huh.
Oh, I should have probably just put stuff on the Sentinel, especially the Hammer, because it makes them... Like, we just draw a card. Yeah, that's just correct. Right. Apologies.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Not too bad, because there is a play here where if they try to get like a Jide online, we can animate Nexus, block the Strix, and then before damage kill our own Nexus with the Jide, so they don't get damage. But
they just chose to not use it. Yeah. So... Okay. I mean, we get to make a dude, and I mean, we can force them to block by animating Inkmoth.
Yeah, very true.
If we want to.
Oh,
well, that just wins.
Shadow Spear?
Yeah.
Hardcast Force? But we do draw a
And
card
we
off this
draw.
off the Sentinel.
Yep.
Can we find another Stoneforge? No. Okay.
I still think you just force the trade with the Strix.
Hmm. So we should kill the Stoneforge before.
So what I would have done is I would have animated Inkmoth, put a hammer on the Inkmoth, and then killed Stoneforge with a Jit.
Yeah, that's very true.
But now I think you just, use the Smith and kill the Stoneforge before they get to block.
Yeah. So here. I assume they have a Kaldra in play, which is something we kind of have to play around.
Yeah, we do a little bit.
Yeah, I should definitely keep my finger off 1 so much. Because now we want to just put the hammer on the Esper Sentinel.
Yep.
And probably just also put the Jide on another creature as well in case they do have Kaldra.
So I might just make the flyer right now and then put the Jit on it.
Nice. Sorry.
It's all good.
No, I was wanting to trigger this to draw a removal spell, but that's fine. That's all good. Jide as well, but look, there's a comedy of errors right now, and hopefully it doesn't cost us.
It's all good. Very nice. Draw a card. Not a terrible one either. We're also just approaching the point where Jite kills the Strix through whatever, so
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Terrible.
You're all right. You're all right. How would you say, like, what is the advantage bar at for you right now?
Look, 80-20
In our favor?
Yeah, like maybe like Serenity isn't even that good of an out for them because of just next turn being such a big attack.
Yeah. I mean, Serenity's still pretty good, but it would kill both of their things.
We just take this, right?
Yeah, I'm not interested in throwing the Inkmoth out for not killing it.
Yeah, like if they do have some sort of life loss effect, we also just have the Jit to gain life if needed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah, now I want to do the Inkmoth thing with the hammer.
Yep.
And then we have to pay the one to give it. Well, we don't actually. It doesn't matter because they don't have another blocker. And I think it's just attack all.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if they block something, the Jide could just take out the Strix after damage.
Exactly.
They chose to shuffle with the Ponder as well, which is good for us.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, dress down.
That's like actively bad, isn't it?
I think it... Let's have a look.
That seems actively bad. So they lose lifelink and death touch. And like all of our things still just do that. Like Inkmoth is no longer infect, but we're still in there for lethal. So now they have to block anyway. Like they're just always blocking the Inkmoth, but now they don't kill the Inkmoth.
Yeah, that's very true. Unless they have like Solitude doesn't even do it here. Like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like this is just lethal.
Yeah, without doing anything.
Yeah. So they must have removal here.
Or they're trying to find removal?
Nope. All right. Look, Dress Down is a really interesting card. I'll give
there's a lot to it. I mean, like, that card is good against us. It just wasn't good against us there.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so I think they must have wanted to try to find removal off Dress Down. That was their plan. But I don't know that finding a swords is enough anyway there, right? Like, if you're just swordsing Inkmoth, you don't kill us next turn anyway. And then we're just kind of in a similar position, and the Jitte does the Jitte thing, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to find.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, because with the 3 Jitte counters is 6 damage. They're at -3, which is kind of 9 damage, which means if they take out the Inkmoth, they're at +2. So they're at 2 life there. I guess they get to swing back with lifelink, but still.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is if they find Plow and they plow our Inkmoth, then we just gain 10. So we don't, like, you're not presenting lethal. Even without the Retrofitter and the Jitte and everything.
Ooh, 1 mana with Mox. 1, 2,
I like this one.
3. Yeah. Okay. We get turn 1 Sentinel and Needle if needed, but don't really need the Needle.
I think I would play the Hammer, actually. Just to, like, guarantee that the Metalcraft is on. It's like if they kill Sentinel, then it's still on. It's a punish if we draw Aid. The other line is you could, like, just run out the other Opal and play the Sash after the Sentinel.
I mean, a Force here would be pretty nice.
On the Opal?
Mox Opal.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mind Lion Sash.
Yeah, you want to just Sash?
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially with the Esper Sentinel in play as well. Like, oh, good. Oh, I thought for a second I clicked the one that was already tapped to keep.
I'm glad you didn't.
I had a game against Elves where they had just the turn 2 game 1 Collector Oof in hand, and I was like, well, that's game. It was a similar kind of start, and I was like, ugh.
It's so weird. So the matches against Delver I had in that tournament, the post-board games, I didn't have any of these style hands where I was just in.
This is fantastic.
We have Sash in play.
Exactly, and Needle for Grizzlebrand just in case.
Well, this is just nice.
Yeah,
but anyway, the post-board games, I didn't have the, like, huge, like, vomit my artifact hand, so I just got to, like, play methodically around Meltdown. So it's weird where post-board you're like, I actually don't want the super explosive hand if I'm expecting Meltdown.
Yeah, see, like, Meltdown and Force of Vigor were 2 cards that I had a lot of issues with, and I was like, well, Gaddock Teeg is a great answer to those, but I think that's a case of me being incorrect about wanting to move too far into, like, beating what are pretty much unbeatable cards, and there's no real need to move towards, like, green just to stop those, because I think it just hampers the deck in a way that isn't great.
Yeah,
we don't really need to do anything.
Yeah, I feel like we just attack and say go, and then, like, end step we can start eating things.
Yeah. Also, double Animate Dead in the bin, so they didn't bottom creatures, which is interesting.
What? Probably because on board Sash, right?
Yeah, that's true. Which also means that they didn't have, like, a Lotus Petal and Reanimate. So they didn't have, like, a fast way to win, which is nice. But
right, that was the turn. That was the turn they needed to do it. It seems very hard for them game 1 from this spot.
100%. And I think we're just going to eat double Animate Dead and Del.
I think I would eat the looting as well. Just like dead looting. I mean, unless they force you to do something. Okay.
The Sentinel's really, yeah, like just pretty tough for them as well.
We could actually move the sash to reconfigure on the Sentinel so that we're gonna draw
Now
more.
we're talking. Now we're talking.
You like that?
Yeah. Oh, they're going to grief.
Okay.
That is more than fine.
Yeah,
it's one more creature to eat.
we super don't care.
Yeah. Like, even there we can eat Grief, Grizzlebrand, Looting. This becomes a 3/3 untap. Eat a Looting and then still have 2 mana up for 2 more targets if needed.
That was clean. I liked that.
All right. So, I think these are probably the easy wins.
Yeah.
These are 5 that are pretty easy to bring in.
I like the silence on the play, but I think I don't on the draw.
Yeah, same.
Okay. I like Spirit, actually.
Okay, yeah.
And then I usually actually cut the Smith in these matchups.
Okay, yeah. Just that it gives you the grind that you don't typically need.
Yeah, exactly.
So things like Smith and Retrofit Foundry.
Yes.
Probably Jide as well.
Then, yep. And probably the Shadow Spear.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Just call it a day.
So I don't think we need the swords because we have the ley lines.
We also have Karakas.
Yeah.
But I guess that misses Archon. But I mean, like, if they get to the Archon spot, we're in a bad spot anyway. And I don't, like, I kind of want to... I feel like if we get to the board state where they've got the thing in play, we've probably lost.
Yeah, correct. And I think it's going to be hard for us to keep a hand that doesn't have leyline or some other sort of broken start.
Right, exactly.
With 4 ley lines, surely, even on a mull to 6, you should see it at least once in your 2 hands.
Yeah, I'm pretty willing to mull very liberally here as well.
I guess the tough thing is that Serenity is most likely in this deck, especially post-board. And that hits not just leyline, but also our deck.
It does, yes. That's kind of what I was talking about there when we were mentioning like Mind Break Trap or Surgical or some of that type stuff.
Yeah, fighting on a different Nexus.
I mean, I'm going to keep...
Yeah, and I think I am going to play out both ley lines. There's not really a world where we get to cast like one later on.
Agreed.
And although the mana is a little bit rough, it's not too far off.
Yeah, like if you draw the white source, this hand is actually just excellent.
And we do have a pretty high chance of that. It's one of those cases where sometimes a leyline type hand can be a bit of a trap because it doesn't have a plan. But I think just because we're so close to this being online through one white source, it's probably more than fine. Especially being up a game as well. There's a little bit of bias there. They've mulliganed to 6 cards.
I will say I actually played against Reanimator recently, and they had the Serenity, and they tapped out to play it, and then I just untapped and killed them, which was really nice.
Oh, nice.
Because it's not immediate, so having that extra turn can be relevant. But we'll see. Okay.
Okay. Gonna start digging. Wonder what they exile. Probably like creature reanimate spell. Creature reanimate spell.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still playing the Saga.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because it can just get us a. And
it can what?
I guess it can get us closer to Metalcraft.
Yeah, exactly. It also is closer to a hammer, which if we do draw the white source, we just get to put the 8 in, and we're Well, I guess it's going to be difficult to put both the 8 and a creature in, but even so, I'm happy to run it out. Okay, that's fine.
I'm not going to play anything either.
Yeah.
You do have Marsh Flats for a white source, so that is... Okay, no white source. I wonder if they're playing Show and Tell. So some versions are playing Show and Tell on the board, which is blue mana is most likely a sign of.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would assume off Show and Tell Spirit is probably where we want to be, but...
Agreed.
Can be tough. Yeah, I kind of forgot about this version of the deck that goes more for... Huh. They're probably just trying to ritual into show, potentially?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that will probably beat us if they have it.
Oh, just a hard cast creep.
No. Yeah, that's totally fine. Probably take the opal?
Yeah, or maybe the... Yeah, okay. I was going to say maybe the spirit because it actually just trades. Oh, I guess menace is a thing. So.
Land.
Ancient Den. Come on now. Oof, so close.
Okay. Well, I guess we now have the choice of, do we want to get the opal that we lost? Do we want to play a Grafdigger's Cage to just have even more hate? Is there anything else you're interested in?
I think it might be Mox Opal. I think Cage is kind of covered by them in a way that if their hate is going to be Serenity, it answers everything.
Right. Yeah, and they're not on green, so they're not going to have Force of Vigor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's opal. I like that.
And then just pass.
Well, they do have us on an eventual clock here. But I mean, the moment we find mana, we're in this. Immediately the punish for getting the opal.
Interesting. They're just going to entomb something they don't want to draw into.
I'm pretty happy if they're doing that.
Yeah. Just trying to turn on more live draws, I guess.
I mean, yeah, Ancient Den would be absolutely cracked here.
Yeah. Because then we could play the Sentinel, and then we would have 2 mana with the Moxen.
I mean, would you probably just go like Sentinel Aid, go, and then
Stoneforge
the following turn, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're much closer to drawing whatever out we need than they are theirs, but we'll see. Ooh, okay.
It's probably just an aid.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they might like hardcast another Grief, which would make that a little worse to do, but...
Oh, there we go.
Nice. Okay. We're back in the game.
Look, they're also getting pretty close-ish to Hardcast Grizzlebrand, even just off of one like ritual effect.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Okay.
Wow. That's excellent. So yeah, I mean, I'm just Stoneforge for Hammer now. All right. So I mean, you could attack for one if you want.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we want to animate Nexus here to get the Opal into play with Hammer this turn. No, because I'll get the Aid into play.
You can't. You don't have Metalcraft, so you don't have mana to do anything.
Oh, of course. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're blocking here, so we might as well attack.
But next turn, we get to do all of those things that you just mentioned. Please pay. Okay. That makes me feel better. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
same.
We're fine.
And okay.
All right. Excellent. So
Scott is Ed.
just yep.
And
And
then
Ornithopter.
nice.
Animate. And play the other Mopal. And maybe I think they're gonna die now. Yep.
Nice.
That was really
Clean,
cool.
Gabe. There we go. That was a little bit worrying because I guess, like, I would call that a trap hand because it has the ley lines but doesn't have a great plan. But as well, the ley lines just buy you the time to get out of it. So,
right.
Yeah, pretty
right.
nice.
I mean, we didn't, I mean, we almost just didn't get there, right? Like, we didn't draw a white source for quite a long time. And I feel like having the opal as well was like you're really incentivized to, just like one land and you're winning the game.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it worked out, but I don't know. It's very hard to like, I'm gonna mull 2 leyline against your deck.
Do you follow Delta on Twitter?
I don't know that I do, actually.
So Delta
Maybe I should be.
has pretty much been trophying with like different decks, which is really cool. So he trophied number 38 with like a Dead Guy Ale list. He then played, or they played, Mono Red Painter. They played Lands, got a 5-0. They played Soldier Stompy, which is the deck we played against in round 1. So this is like a better kind of look at it. But yeah, like a bunch of different decks, like Lands again, Goblins, which is very cool. Like, really cool to see someone do so well and lead the tally board with so many different decks, like Mono Blue Depths. Here is like a kind of take on a deck called Sylvan Plug, which used to play like, it was a deck back in the day. It used to play like 3 main deck chokes and like played a lot of 3-ball kind of effects, which was pretty cool. But this is playing Mech Hanger. But yeah, really, really, really cool to see. Like a lot of different decks and trophies. So.
Yeah, that's very cool. I feel like often trophy leaders are just like grinding one deck, so that's very neat.
This hand is pretty cool.
Yep, I'm into it.
Hopefully we're not up against Urza the Planeswalker, but I feel like they're kind of a Khan fan.
Just maybe. Your bot thinks their last deck was Sultai Depths, apparently. But...
Rainbow Depths, okay. Luckily we do have the Karakas, which can be answered by Not of This World. But we might just be able to have some quicker fires. Also have the Ornithopters help a lot. And Urborg is typically, this is typically going to be like a Depths kind of start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Interesting. That actually can matter as well.
Yeah, even to buy the extra turn.
Mm-hmm. We have some options here. Like, we could go double spell and just like Sentinel aid, or you can go Stoneforge and just get the hammer. I think I want to just get the hammer.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So they need a spirit guide to be able to kill you from the spot, I believe.
Correct. They need 3 mana in total, 2 for the stage and 1 for crop.
Right.
So I guess here we can play the other Sentinel as well.
Yeah, you can. I feel like they would crop in response to that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't, which is nice.
So I feel like that means they don't have the thing here. I might have actually gone to combat first just to see what happens, but
because it can flash in, of course. Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't matter too much. I mean, either they have the thing and we die, or they don't.
Hmm.
And we probably win if they don't.
Yeah, I think maybe the play it safe is kind of like Ingenious Smith try to find Ornithopter, but if you don't find exactly that, then you're just in a worse spot.
Agreed. Also, not sure I put it on the Sentinel, but I don't know. I mean, again, if they have the 2020, it's going to be death either way. So,
yeah, it's tough. I think that Rainbow Depths doesn't keep a 7 that doesn't have a turn, I guess turn 4 win or earlier. Oh,
wow.
Yeah. I did not expect that. And now we have the Jide plan as well, which we can put on a separate as well. Ornithopter Karakas. Pure Steel. No, because we want the mana. I think we have to go for Jide this turn to gain some life.
I agree. So do you just put the Jide on the Stoneforge and attack with only that then? Or do you just want to like send the team?
That's pretty interesting. So we can cast this at instant speed, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we could just attack with the Stoneforge Mystic, see if they block, and if not, put the Jide on it. I mean, because there's a world where because there is a world where they can actually make the 2020 and then crop rotation for step to give protection to stop the.
Oh yeah, so life. We definitely should instant speed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I assume they might just keep the step in case of like Sword Splashes.
There's also a greedy line.
Oh, tell me.
Which is Smith trying to spike a hammer.
Okay.
Notably, the Smith also could spike a Den or a Opal, which would let you still do the Jit line.
Gabe,
or it could also hit an Ornithopter.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of live draws from the Smith.
Yeah. But it's probably not correct to play it.
What would you do? This is your turn.
Okay. So you only need to gain life a single time from the Jite in order to not die from the Merit Lage, right? Correct. So right now, if you go attack all, they're going to go block the Esper Sentinel with a hammer. And then you can go put the Jite on whatever, put it on one of the other things. And you'll get the trigger. They'll take 2, they'll go to 5. And then you actually still just have lethal the following turn because you can just pure steal and move the hammer.
Yeah.
So I think you just attack all, see what happens. And then, like, in blocks, probably put the Jite down. And if they have like the Merit Lage on defense, then like I feel like we're in a good spot as well.
So yeah, Jack in chat's just saying if we attack with just these 2, they block 1. We probably just Jide the other because then they can't do the crop line. And then they take 1, go to 6. We gain 2 off the Jide, and then we have 1 left over, so that's 2 damage, 3 damage, 4 damage.
Yeah, maybe that's better. I mean, does it matter? Like, they're going to kill a Sentinel either way. We're looking to Paladin. If they're on Thoughtseize, then they're going to die regardless. So, like, that line is better. Like, Duress doesn't hit Paladin, so it would be better if they were on, like, Inquisition. but I don't think they play that.
Usually the deck plays 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Duress, 2 Inquisition as a split.
2 Inquisition. Okay. Then I guess it is correct to do the 2/1/1s.
Just attack with these two?
I think so. I'm going to pull up a Rainbow Depths list here.
No blocks.
Oh, great. Just put it on one of the dudes. Probably I don't know if it matters. Maybe the Stoneforge, I guess.
Yeah. I think the Stoneforge is just the least, like, the lowest threat as well.
Right. Exactly. I'm trying to think how they punish this, like...
Yeah, like, this deck doesn't typically play Mazavith, which is great. Karakas, Bajuka Bog are usually the only two.
They could stifle the equip trigger.
Yeah, that's true. Rambo does play Stifle, so that's definitely a line they could have.
But then you draw 2. Unless they don't make the 2020, but they have to make the 2020. So you would draw 2 cards. That doesn't seem good either. All right. Well.
Oh, okay.
That was just best case scenario, I think. I'm really surprised that they didn't want to block something. I guess it plays around more things.
I'm just going to gain this 2 life now as well. Just in case I'm like some random play where they have like double blue and do have double stifle. But
sure.
I don't think it really matters. But yeah, now they're in a tight spot. Unless they run like main deck Rite of Consumption or like a Fling effect, where we're pretty good.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Like the Jide also stops them from having Vampire Hexmage as a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Stifle would have been pretty bonkers for them there.
I mean, we would get 2 draws, so like, and it would be before our second main phase. So like you get draws towards either the thing that casts the Smith or the thing that you want off the Smith. Like if they go Stifle that and then you just draw Hammer, they die. So I don't think they're allowed to, but
yeah. They just floated green-black, which typically is maybe like a main deck Assassin's Trophy.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I mean, I just lead on Smith.
Yeah. How many choices do you reckon we'll get, Gabe?
Probably 1.
1? None.
Oh, notably,
Karakas.
It would have hit Ornithopter, but if we'd cast it that turn.
Yeah, very true.
Well, now I just think I play Thopter and say go, right? I mean, are you interested in attacking?
So if we attack with everything and they block this, they take 3 and go to 2. And then next turn we have lethal.
Yeah, but we're gonna have lethal next turn anyway, right?
I guess what are we really worried about? I think what we're worried about is potentially them attacking and then setting up another combo to kind of have a vigilance Merit Lage.
Yeah, but I mean, like Sajiri doesn't get through Ornithopter, right?
No, that's true.
I think you just play Thopter and say go. Like I'm trying to think. Like they could have a bog, I guess, but I don't think that does it either.
Yeah, because like the deck typically doesn't have many other threats. Like it's going to be Vampire Hexmage as actual creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So if we attack here, they block the 11/11. We can pump the Stoneforge Mystic to be 3/4. They go down to 1. And then we have lethal the next turn. And there's no way that I believe main deck they can actually kill us on the swing.
I mean, so if you don't attack, what is the punish for not attacking? Like we just get to keep another Sentinel as an 11/11 if we don't attack, and then next turn we're still presenting lethal.
Yes. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of so if we don't attack, they attack, we block with the Ornithopter, and then they play like Stage Pass, and then they hold up like Crop Rot 4 depths to then block. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that.
And they still die.
Yeah. So I think potentially we do just pass back. Yeah.
If they play Hexmage, they have to not attack. Unless they have like Depths Hexmage. But they would have, I think they would have played one of those things last turn.
Yeah, and the Jedi does answer the Hexmage, so they can't like have 2 Marits in the...
Yeah. They could, I guess they would respond and take the 1/1 counter off your Smith.
Yeah, that's true.
Funny.
But yeah, they did float green-black, which makes me think they might have a trophy.
Yeah, but like I'm very happy if they trophy here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like if I'm drawing 2 cards then and getting another land, it's like, you know, I just don't know that gets you anywhere either. And I think that's kind of why I like keeping the double Smith, because I feel like they have to assemble multiple things the double Sentinel, because they have to assemble multiple things in order to get out of this spot, and it just constrains them further. So if they have to assemble it through us drawing cards, then
that's very true.
It's also like a greater chance of us just killing them next turn.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Frankly, it's probably just all roads lead to Rome, but
hopefully. Opponent also taking
hopefully.
a bit and just thinking, you know, what's their way through this Ornithopter potentially. Like, to be fair, like I wouldn't be surprised by Tower of the Magistrate in the main deck, but I've been playing it in the sideboard of Rainbow because it's typically worse than Karakas, which has also seen sideboard play. But I mean, being at 22 as well, Tower isn't, you know, the one shot.
Right, exactly. Like, so you have to do the extra 2 damage on top of getting the Tower.
Yeah. And like, you know, this deck doesn't typically play cards like Collective Brutality, so I just don't think they have the reach of that 2 damage in this deck, thankfully.
We also can gain another 2. So...
Yeah, I think, like...
I don't know.
Thankfully, Rainbow Depths doesn't typically play Saga either, so something like Shadow Spear isn't something we have to worry about either. Like, Shadow Spear would be pretty brutal in a 2020 with lifelink for what our current situation is, but...
It would be.
Like
I mean, they would have to draw it as well.
Exactly. And, like, another hammer for us could just get us through that in 1 turn anyway.
Right. I would love to get into a situation where we get to like flash in a Kaldra to put on an Ornithopter to kill Merit Lage. That would be so sick.
Yes, that would be very cool.
I'm just looking for the sweetest plays. I'm not trying to win here, you know.
Exactly. Do you know who kind of first came up with Hammer in Modern when it first came out?
So there were a lot of people working on it way back in the day. I know. I think CrusherBot is one of like the people who's been on it basically forever. It was definitely a meme deck for a really long time, and frankly, I don't think the greater community acknowledged it as a real deck until Urza Saga came out. Having said that, I actually played a decent amount of Hammer pre Urza Saga. So like I top aided, I think it was a modern showcase with a green white Luris build of the deck.
Okay.
So this was when Uro and Mystic Sanctuary was in modern as well. So I mean, I think the deck has always been good, but certainly Saga supercharged it.
Yeah.
Though I mean, losing Luris was a huge deal. Like obviously if the super version of Hammer is when you had Saga and Luris.
Yeah, Saga and Lewis is pretty insane. What's currently kind of the vibes of Hammer in modern at the moment? Is it a mono white deck, or is it? I think I've seen like a white blue version.
Those two are the two popular ones. There's some disagreement about like what the go-to build is. There's like two variants of mono white as well. There's like the Crusher Bot build, and then like a more sort of standardized one that people like. And then the player known for the blue white build is Happy Sandwich. The blue build gets you Lavinia in the sideboard, which helps you fight through Cascade, and it's also decent against the pitch elementals. And then of course you also get some counter magic, which helps against your bad matchups in Living End and 4-color. I actually have been messing around with a version in modern with Aether Vial in it.
Gabe, preaching. You're preaching to the choir. Is there a red card that allows you to like instant speed equip something?
There is. It's Magnetic Theft.
Okay.
So it's 1 red, and it's attach target equipment to target creature. So you can actually steal an opposing hammer and put it on your thing in combat.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. You don't gain control of it. So if they have Paladin, they just post combat move it back. But it's pretty silly. The red splash is probably the splash that has seen the least play. People messed around with. I mentioned green in my build. I had Gaddock Teeg in the sideboard at that time. People have tried Ancient Stirrings, and then like Veil of Summer is the other green thing. At that time, again, I had Luris, and the white seal wasn't in modern, but the green one was. So you could just like recur Seal of Primordium.
Nice. That's cool.
Which was pretty nice, yeah.
What was the
then?
Sorry, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say the Black Splash was the popular build, which was playing like Thoughtseize, and you had like random pro white cards, and like I think people liked Knight of Malice.
Okay.
As just because it was cheap card that was a cheap creature that had pro white.
Yeah.
I don't really know why the black build fell off. Like I don't really think that counter spells are strictly better than discard, really. Like it might just be an aspect of people liking their opponent to tap out for the thing, and then you get to respond. But Hammer is like, it's weird because you do have like instant speed patterns, but you don't really love having to hold the mana for the counter. Like, you know, you're holding a Saga, you want to just Saga them, right? So it is interesting. I'm not sure why that fell off, but I would say the blue splash is the most popular now.
Yeah, cool. Nice. While our opponent gets back. Oh, okay. Well, they left. So we got there, which is nice.
And we 5-0.
Hey-o. Classic. Yeah, I think post-board as well, we have a pretty nice rainbow matchup. Like the March and the Swords are very good. And overall, like having those Thopters, having the Retrofitter Foundry to potentially have that mid-game win as well is quite nice. But yeah, always nice to have someone on and get the trophy, even if it, was
from inactivity.
Yeah. Look, I'll take it.
I do think we win that game, but
yeah, I think it is very hard for them to get through that Ornithopter, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the one thing that I really like about this deck is just the amount of playsets, so it is quite a clean deck. And for the one-ofs, they are all tutorable through multiple methods, so it's going to be quite consistent, which is really nice. I think I was playing around with just 20 lands, which might be a little bit too rough. Like, my version didn't have the Ingenious Smiths. It had the 4 mums, and it had Aethersworn Canonist as like a main deck way to punish some of the combo decks. But I think, like, as well, I think the issue that, or the mistake that I made was making changes to a deck before I actually really gave it a good solid go. I think it's pretty... it's not great to look at a deck that's done really well and then go straight away, oh, I don't like that, let's play this instead, because, like, what's the basis of that? I'd much rather play a deck like this and then find out, like, where the weak spots are. Like, you know, maybe, like, Cathar Commando could be something in the sideboard that we could try out. But, yeah, like, this, obviously, it's really nice to see this deck do well, because it has been putting up a few league fights, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I know we just got the 5-0, but I think regardless of that, I still just think the deck is strong. Like, I know Mangu, Andrea Mangichi, played the deck recently, and he was kind of talking about how it's just a worse 8 cast. And I definitely see where he's coming from in that, of, like, you know, your artifact-centric deck, and, you know, it basically just good Mox Opal or Saga deck, and you could just be playing that, but I don't know that I really agree with that. I think this deck actually does something somewhat different while being vulnerable to some of the same hate, which is this deck has a really good fair matchup, right? Like, I'm kind of approaching this, maybe it's because of my background as a D&T player, but I'm like, okay, the main deck is good against fair stuff, and then I just try to beat unfair stuff in the sideboard. And then, like, that's just my whole plan. And, you know, like, 8 cast gets to, like, you know, Force of Will your Meltdown, right? Like, that, those are things that they get. But at the same time, you're also vulnerable to all of the Rebs in the format, and there are a lot of them. That's kind of what I had in mind, actually, when I built this deck, was what is a deck that I can play that is powerful, that also just dodges a lot of what the format is about right now, right? So there's nothing that you get to Reb here. I felt like the spot removal isn't that good against it. It's not like you crumble to a Force of Will. And then you also just have, like, a fast proactive plan yourself.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I wish is that the Antiquities version of Ornithopter was online, but it's not. Like, the old boarded version? Why is that?
I thought it was. I'm surprised that it isn't. That's...
Yeah. Unless Cardboard just doesn't have any that they ever have.
They just won't give it to you.
Yeah. Come on, Card Hoarder. No. But yeah, Gabe, a huge thank you for coming on. Really cool to have you on as a guest. And of course, to Trophy, even if there were some games that, yeah, no, I think it really showed the power of the deck going up against a lot of different decks as well.
Yeah,
I think the big question is, how do you find the Delver matchup?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on. This has been great. But the Delver matchup, I actually don't think is bad. I played against it several times in that event that I did well with it in, and I actually 2-0'd it every single time.
Yeah.
And I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier with the you know, how I didn't really like the fast hands against Delver, where, you know, some games you just have to do it, right? Like, either you don't have the planes, or you're just, like, forced to play that way, where you're like, you know, Ancient Den, Esper Sentinel, Mox Opal, Hammer, right? That kind of thing. And then they just melt down you and you cry. But the weird thing that I had happen in those matches was I have all these lands that aren't Ancient Den, right? And yes, I'm going to accept that, you know, Meltdown is going to kill my Esper Sentinel, but I was able to do these things where I was kind of forcing them to do the thing, where I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I played my Ingenious Smith, and, you know, I got a Mox Opal, right? And maybe, like, you have to Meltdown me, but then I get to activate Saga post meltdown, or maybe you are forced to meltdown, and if you tap out, then I can go for a win. That kind of thing. So I actually feel like there's a decent amount of playability there where you're not just totally lights out against meltdown. Of course, it's hand dependent. But I have lost to Delver with it. Of course, I mean Delver's one of the best. I mean, it is the best deck in the format, right? But the matches that I lost to them were, like I described, where I was forced to play into the meltdown and they just had the meltdown right away, or I actually lost a game 1 against them where I had a slower hand and my opponent just had a very quick, I think they had DRC, and then a quick Murktide, and I just was okay, I've lost. But I actually have felt pretty good against it, and I'm very hesitant to say ooh, I'm favored, right? It's I feel like I need a larger sample size to confidently tell you I'm favored against such a great deck, but I haven't felt bad, and I don't think it's just ooh, I got lucky. I've played against very good players on the deck and felt the games are very competitive.
Yeah. I think as well, just having a way to grow a lot of our creatures to 4/4s or bigger is really nice against the versions with Lightning Bolt. And in the matches that I played, again, I probably played 4 matches against Delver, and I believe that, most of them were pretty dominant, especially with Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear is probably the biggest one because it's kind of like a Lightning Helix effect where you're taking away the ability for them to really beat you down. And also when it's on a creature that is something like a big construct or even an Ingenious Smith, it can be really hard for them to get out of it without sort of blocking and then bolting and 2-for-1ing themselves.
Absolutely. It is different, right? Legacy and Modern aren't the same, but Hammer is the deck that preys on Murktide in Modern, and that was actually the huge incentive for me of wanting to try this deck, because it was well, if it preys on it in Modern, maybe it could in Legacy. And of course, things like Force of Will in particular change that dynamic, and Meltdown obviously helps a lot as well. But I still feel pretty good. You just turn 1 Esper Sentinel and your opponent all of a sudden is, forced to play very awkwardly, or, they yes, they can wasteland you, but Saga is very good outside of that. So it's they have answers to things, but for the most part, if I'm forcing my opponent to, oh, you have to Force of Will my turn 1 Esper Sentinel, I feel very good about that. There's only 4 lightning bolts in the Legacy build, right? The occasional 5th removal spell, but for the most part, it's only 4. So you even have that going for you, and it's damage based, which we talked about, the aid tricks or saving your thing with a Colossus Hammer, or sequencing. So damage based removal in particular isn't that good against Hammer.
Yeah, agreed. It's a really cool deck with a lot of interaction and a lot of little things to learn about as you play the deck. A few things you probably won't pick up until you get them wrong for the first time. But yeah, a huge thank you for coming on. If users want to find you, where can they find you online?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. This has been a blast. I stream myself, so I am SpiderSpace on Twitch. I also have a Twitter, which is SpiderSpace MTG. I do not have a YouTube, but I actually am part of a podcast with Fran. You may know him as F Pablouche on Twitter, and our podcast is Mishra's Babble. So it should be on all the platforms, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever it is you listen to. It should be on all those things.
That is a fantastic name. I've put all those links in chat. But yeah, a huge thank you again. Really nice to have you on. Very nice to get the trophy. And to all those new followers and subs, a huge appreciation to you guys as well. I'll probably be back tomorrow night with our 5th take on the $300 challenge from That Maverick Joe of playing a Dark Confidant build of Maverick or Depths in Legacy and getting a trophy. So hopefully we continue this run. But yeah, Gabe, thank you once again. Everyone enjoy your weekends, stay safe, and I'll catch you soon.
Cheers.
Oh, I'll quickly see who else is streaming as well.